Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage. We got a Honda Odyssey with a leaky oil pan, and we're going to try to get her fixed up today with a product called Hondabond HT. I put her up on jack stands last night, so hopefully all the oil that's draining out of this pan has pretty much also slid off of all the internals of the engine. So when I'm trying to get the pan back on later on today, I won't have oil dripping all over my new sealer. I also hit all the exhaust manifold studs with some penetrant oil, and hopefully that'll help loosen those nuts up while we're waiting for the oil to finish draining out of the oil pan. I'm using a long 1/2-inch drive breaker bar, a wobble extension, and a 14mm socket to crack those exhaust manifold nuts loose. I'm hesitant to use an impact wrench because I'm afraid I might end up rounding the nuts off. Okay, so I was able to get the manifolds off, or get the exhaust crossover pipe off of the exhaust manifolds, as you can see, but that flange in the rear where the exhaust pipe connects to the front of the catalytic converter, those 3 fasteners, are on there. I have tried using heat. I've tried soaking them in penetrant oil. I've tried heating them up and then hitting them with penetrant oil, kind of use a capillary effect to suck them in. And those suckers are not going to come off probably unless I cut them off. So what I decided to do was just drop the exhaust at the mount there. And then there's a little rubber mount all the way back here that I disconnected. And I'm just letting the exhaust system hang. And I'm pretty sure leaving this pipe hang where it is gives me enough space between the floor to get underneath it and loosen up all the fasteners that hold this pan on. And I think I've got plenty of clearance to also drop the pan. So I'm going to go with plan B on this. And oh, what's that? Oh, a busted CV boot. Oh, that's nice. Coming back under, I'm just going to show you guys real quick before I pull the pan out. There is a metal access plate here, and there's a fastener right there, a 10mm, and I suspect that also holds the oil pan on as well. So I'm going to remove that access plate first, and then I'm going to go around and remove the rest of those 10mm fasteners that go all the way around the perimeter of the pan. And there's also 2 big fasteners. There's one there and there. I think those are 14s. And I should have the pan out in just a few minutes. With that plate off, of course that access plate there is for access to the torque converter bolts. But anyway, you can see there's also 2 more fasteners hidden underneath that plate holding the oil pan on. For a quick point of reference, there is a short and a long oil pan bolt, and the longs go in the holes on the flywheel side of the exhaust manifolds. The only thing you have to remember is you've got long, 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 and then you got a long here and here, and then everything else is short. And I can't emphasize enough to go all the way around the pan and make sure you have not left a single fastener in, because if you do, it will make for a very long day. And it looks like they left me a nice access spot on each side of the pan in the rear. There's a nice place to put a little pry bar. I think I'm going to come in on this side because it's probably easier to get to. And I'm going to break that loose, start trying to break it loose probably right there. We'll see what happens. Hey y'all, just showing you what I did. They do have a flange right here, which I think is meant for removing the oil pan. And I took about a 50-year-old chisel, it's sharpened to a nice wedge, and I stuck it in between the 2 surfaces, the block and this tab that's on this oil pan, and gently tapped it with a hammer. I had enough. Was enough to break the seal. I tried using a pry bar, and the pry bar I had did not give me enough leverage to break it loose. I was a little concerned, but it only took a couple of gentle taps with the hammer and it cracked it loose. And as you can see, I'm going to break the pan loose right now. There we go. And I got the pan. Let's see if we can show me dropping it out. Yep. Okay. So you can get the pan out with just the exhaust hanging. And there it is, right there. And there's the pan. Okay. Let's see if we had any evidence of leaking. Okay. Right along here, this is where the this is on the torque converter side of the pan. You can see how oily it is in here. All along here, you see how discolored that is? I'm pretty sure that was leaking there. And all along the pan rail facing the rear of the vehicle as well. Pretty much leaking all over. You can see it's wet in this area too here. That's where the oil filter area is. So not entirely sure that wasn't just coming from the oil filter adapter, but who knows. And she looks a little more sludgy than I thought she'd be for having 180,000 miles and basically all synthetic oil. I don't think I've ever gone over 7,500 miles on an oil change, and that's definitely a lot more sludge and varnish than I'd like to see. But I guess not terrible compared to the small block Chevy days, right? Just taking a look at the pan rail on the engine block, you can see where the Hondabond is left on the inside of the pan sealing edge, and it looks pretty scrungy. So I'm gonna have to go all around and gently scrape that off, and then probably go over with a little bit of Scotch-Brite and some lacquer thinner, and that should give the new Hondabond a suitable surface to bite onto. It looks like the old factory Hondabond is going to peel off pretty easy. You can see how there's oil underneath it as I pull it up, so this had not been sealing very well for some time. So pretty easy cleanup, really. Okay, let's get this oil drained out and we'll give this pan a good scrubbing. Okay, I say that's a marginal pass for clean. I just went in and just hit the inside of it with some Scotch-Brite, clean the rails up really good. I don't want to have anywhere where that Hondabond can have a chance to start delaminating. And then also just kind of went around the outside of the pan and gave it a good scrubbing as well. I'm not going to say I could pass for new, but close enough, right? All right, the only other thing left to do is I'm going to clean the engine block side, the mating side, right? And then we're going to do a little practice setting it in and out, because that Hondabond I don't think has a very long cure time. So from the time you get it on there, I think you got about 4 or 5 minutes maybe to set it in place and start putting the fasteners in and cinch it down. And here's the Hondabond HT still in the factory card. It says at 77 degrees and 50% humidity, it dries in an hour, a longer working time than I thought, and 15 to 16 hours to cure, and 2 to 3 days for a perfect seal. Okay, looking at it out of the package, it's not a very large tube. Huh, 1.9 fluid ounces? That's a little stingy. Whew. Locating dowels, one there, one there. You can see the oil plug, that always points towards the rear. That's how I'm going to locate the pan when I drive it back into the vehicle. Oh, there's one of my torque sequences. Is that 10 or 01? Maybe this pan came off the General Lee. I don't know. Just showing, I've got an inch-pound wrench. I think I've got it set to around 60. So we're going to attempt to use that to torque that down. And just showing you, I have some various 10mm sockets set up. Obviously there's a nut driver. I'm going to use that to put the first 2 fasteners in. And then I also have a flex drive, which those can really come in handy. All right, we're going to take our Hondabond. It's got a little pointer thingy in the cap. We're just going to open it. It's gray, and I'm just going to start putting it on. I'm going to lay down a bead. Stuff's pretty thick. I'm going to try not to put it on like super thick, but it looks like I got a pretty good feel here. You just want to go around every hole.
just like that. Be a little generous around the holes. Again, I'm not trying to put, you know, a monster bead on like I'm doing an intake manifold, because these are mating machine surfaces. So most of this is going to get squished out. So I don't want to end up with a lump of it in the oil pan. So again, just going around, just doing a nice, neat, clean job, laying it down. Just like that. Go around the holes really good. Bringing it down. This stuff seems to be going on fairly forgiving. It's not going on that hard. You see, I got some spots here I went a little thin. I'm just going to come back and just add a little more. Just going around like this. I'm just going to bring it around. Right here it's a little tricky because I've got a locating dowel. Just going to come in on the side a little bit. I'm not going to be afraid to smoosh it on a little bit. Right there. It might be a little thick. I may go in and trowel that with my finger just a tad, and we'll just keep bringing her down. Okay. All right. I think we brought it around. I got a spot over here I missed. Didn't do a very good job right there, did I? Just put a little on there. Okay. Actually, I can probably just kind of use the end of the tube. Just smooth that over. I got a spot right here I'm not real happy about. Okay. And I guess if I was real fussy on some of these parts, like right in here, I can just take my finger and smooth it down, bring it around, just like that. Got a spot on there. That doesn't look bad, actually. That's fine. We just want to make sure there's nothing that doesn't have a smooth, even film over it. You can kind of smoothen it out around those dowels. I got a little carried away there. No big deal. This stuff's pretty forgiving. All right. I'm going to say that's plenty of sealer. Might even be too much. I'm kind of bringing it off a little bit. I'm going to wipe some off on this paper towel. Smooth it out just a little more right there. I'm going to say that looks pretty darn good. Go. All right, I'm going to very carefully raise this up, trying not to hit it anywhere that I don't want it to. That part looks good. All right, now I've got my locating dowels. That's right, they're pointing towards the rear, aren't they? Okay, so I've got this semi-set in place. I'm going to come up here. There it goes. That's it. I drove it home. It's located. Now I just have to do my contortionist act. Make sure I'm grabbing shorts. I am. And I'm going to take a couple of fasteners on the short end and get one of those started. Okay, I got that stuck in. I got my nut driver. Okay, I got two fasteners in. So it's in place. The locating dowels did their thing. I took my time. I don't think I smeared any sealer off where it's not supposed to be. I don't see it hanging off the corners of the frame anywhere. That's a good sign. So I'm just going to take my time and put the rest of the fasteners in. There's not much else to see. Okay, I got it torqued down. Looks like I got a nice squeeze all the way around. I'm just showing you one spot that I didn't catch before that I did actually kiss the ear on the block right there. But it looks like I didn't knock enough sealer off. It's like I got a good smoosh around that corner as well. I'm just working around to the other side. You can see all up in here. I got a nice squeeze
all the way around. We'll even come around, look at this side. That looks pretty darn good. And then squeezing that around the converter where it seemed to be the leakiest before. Let's see if I can get in focus. Let's go back this way. Yep, that looks pretty good. And then I am just putting these bolts in last. I don't remember what the torque is on these. I'll have to look it up. But I'll torque those down whatever they're supposed to be. And I think I got one more fastener in my hand. And I thought about sliding those in just so that they were in the holes before I torque this pan down. Looks like they line up okay. Yep, no problems there. All right, I think we'll call this a success. Okay, here's some Hondabond that I wiped off my fingers about 3 hours ago. And it's already set up pretty good. You can see it springs right back. It doesn't feel the least bit gelled. And according to the package, it says at 77 degrees and 50% humidity, the surface layer dries in about 60 minutes. So it's been 3 hours, so I'd say that's pretty dried but not fully cured, because they say it takes about 3 days for a perfect cure. And just to see the shop conditions that this was done in, it's about 76 degrees in here. And it's a climate controlled garage, so I'm going to say we're in that 50% humidity range. So I'm going to say this is doing and reacting exactly the way they said it would, because it's done almost under the exact conditions it lists on the card. But I'm going to wait 3 days anyway before I put oil in it, and we'll take and see what happens. I'm going to replace the exhaust manifold gaskets. Part number 31377, made by Nixon. I think that was an Advance Auto buy. They look like that. There's the one already out of the bag. And it's just a crush gasket, a metal crush gasket. And then this is another metal crush gasket, which I think this goes on one end of the converter, which I couldn't get off. And I think that goes on the other end of the converter. So I think there's a different, might be a different one for each end, not sure. You know, before I dig out the old one, I'm just going to lay this one on top. Yep, that looks like that'll work. Sure, why not? All right, so here's the one that came out, and that's the side that was kissing the exhaust manifold. And of course the new one has got a really flat side and a side that's not so flat and it's kind of tapered. So I'm going to go with the really flat side towards the exhaust manifold, because that just looks like the way it should go. Why not? Yep, drops right in. Yep, that'll work. Hey, just coming back in here and replacing a stud that came out the manifold when I dropped the exhaust. That should just thread right in. May need a little help with a baby vice grip. We'll get that back in, and then we'll get the exhaust on. We got the exhaust all hooked up. Pipes are hanging like they're supposed to. That's nice. Got our mounts reconnected. All that's good. Got that goofy little bracket right there connected to the oil pan. Huge pain in the neck. I was just going to share something with y'all real quick. Another helpful tip. It was a long first day getting this apart. As you can see, I had a nice big fat socket that won't open up and break. I had an old Craftsman socket, but it was like a 12-pointer. And it kept opening up and slipping because these nuts were so tight. So I had to whittle down on this one to get it to fit inside the flange and be able to grab the nut. Otherwise, it was poking out like this. So that wasn't working out. And I've got several other projects planned. I got some motor mounts. Oh, returned by May 9th, 2020. I guess we've passed that, right? I got a full set of motor mounts. I bought these 2 years ago because I had to change on this one. That's underneath all of this stuff. That's the mount that goes right down in there. We see those two bolts are. It shook horribly. It just tore loose. It was awful getting out.
I actually ended up having to drill through the frame. One of the fasteners actually broke off on me. That was a tough job. But I do want to change on this one down here. If I can show you all that real quick. It's this one right here. It's one of the big electric ones. I'm going to change on that. And I might go down below the water line and grab the other ones if I can. Also, while it's still up on jack stands, I bought a set of oil filter adapter gaskets. And I'm going to come in here and take that oil filter adapter off. I think it's only got 3 fasteners, you know, one there, and I think that one right there, I think that'll get it. And just peeping in there, looking at my gasket squeeze, that looks really nice in the oil pan, doesn't it? There's my new drive shaft, and yeah, rotors remachined at Napa while I had the vehicle up on jack stands. I got a separate video for some of this other stuff. I got a really cool way. I use a dial indicator to reinstall these to get them mounted as true as possible. I'll share that with y'all too. Thanks for watching. I'm really tired. This van, I mean, it just wore me out. So signing off, and we'll see you next time. Hey, and help a guy out. Hit like and subscribe, would you? Thanks.